Does temperature affect the Creality magnetic bed? Let's find out on today's Filament Friday. This episode of Filament Friday is brought to you by these Patreon supporters. Here's my really crude setup, but it seems to work. I've got dead weights hanging down here, and each one is 5 pounds so I can slip on more. And it's connected to a rope that goes around the spool holder with an empty spool, which converts that vertical weight into a horizontal weight, and that's connected to a vice grip that's clamped to the magnetic bed here on the Ender 5. So those 10 pounds are pulling down, but basically pulling 10 pounds out to get this bed off. I'm no expert on magnetism, but many people told me that at 80 degrees C, that's the Curie point, where the magnet will lose its magnetism. So at 80 degrees C, this thing should come flying off because there's nothing holding it in place. That's the theory. Now 10 pounds sits fine and works really, really well. But once I add 5 more pounds, well, watch what happens. Now, I typically only print at 60 degrees C because I print a lot of PLA, but I never tested this, even though I said it in some of my reviews that 80 degrees C is where it quits. But now I'm going to test it to see if that's true, because I've got 10 pounds hanging here. It works fine. It's holding just fine. So at 80 degrees C or above, this should lose its magnetism and go flying just like it did with 15 pounds. So let's run the temperature up on the bed and see what happens. So I'm just going to go into the control menu, then temperature, and then bed. And I'll just run this right up to 80 degrees. And then I'll click and then get out of here by going control, main, info screen. So now we'll just wait for this thing to heat up to 80 degrees C. We're at 78 degrees, so I don't want this thing hitting me in the eye, but I want to see this happen. So we're at 79 and 80. 80 degrees. 80 degrees C. And it's definitely warm. Come on, bed. It's not moving. It's holding 80 degrees C. All right, let's bump it. Let's go to 90. I set it to 90. Let's see what happens. We're at 89 and 90. 90 degrees. 90 degrees C. Definitely hotter. It don't look like this bed's moving at all. That magnet's still holding. Let's try 100. Back to the temperature menu, set it to 100, and let it heat up. It's taken a little bit longer to heat from 90 to 100 than it did from 80 to 90, but it's still getting there. We're at 97 right now, 98. We're getting close to 100. I'm still not seeing any movement. 99, will it hit 100? Yes, 100 degrees C. Oh, that's hot. Whoa, I can barely keep my fingers on it there. I do not see any movement. So it's holding at 100 degrees. Should we try 110? Let's try it. We're at 106. I'm timing how long it took, and so far it's only been like 45 seconds. So it's even at this high temperature, this thing's heating up pretty quick. 107. We're still at 108. Those last 109. And this bed's not moving. It's not losing its magnetism. And I think Creality says they can go to 110 degrees. So it's looking like they're right. We're at 109 and we're just shy of 2 minutes. 110. So really it took 2 minutes to reach this point, and that bed's not moving. So based on this, I would have to say that is a myth. These beds hold up under temperature, under 10 pounds of force, which is far more than plastic filament is going to put on these beds. So I think it's just a myth. These magnetic beds come off at 80 degrees. So, this was fun. It's passed all the temperature tests. So now let's add 5 more pounds to prove I don't have this thing glued down. Here we go. There you go. So 80 degrees C, that's a myth. This thing could handle up to 110 degrees. It just couldn't handle 15 pounds.